All right, you are on the platform. We continue our coverage on what is shaping up to be one of the most concerning scandals and incidents in the history of this country in terms of its corruption, the structure of our society, how those in power, how bureaucrats move and work and relate to each other, and how our police operate, and how our police are investigated when they may have done things which are regarded as illegal. It's also about how police investigate allegations against themselves and how we take seriously or not we take allegations of sexual misconduct, and whether we treat the potential victims of crimes adequately in the terms of the way we deal with them. Central to this story, and one of the most outrageous aspects of it, is the use of and I have not met a single person who says this was a good act, introduced by Amy Adams under a national government, the Harmful Digital Communications Act. And I might add a disclaimer, I am currently the subject of a summons to appear in the Dunedin District Court in relation to a Harmful Digital Communications Act, which is confusing. I've got my lawyers looking at that now. It is a piece of legislation that is used to criminalise those, and has almost exclusively been used by people of ill character to shut down those who are trying to blow the whistle on them, who are saying truthful things about them. The person I believe who's used it against me is an online pornographer. All right, what is it with this act? The government seems unconcerned about it. Mark Mitchell wasn't getting into it yesterday. I thought Judge David Harvey would be an excellent person to talk about this and this aspect of this case. He joins us by video link now. David, nice to see you again. Look, before we get into that, just in general terms, this IPCA report must be considered. I mean, what do you make of it in your lifetime in New Zealand society, in New Zealand legal society?
I've had a skim through, and good morning, Sean. I've had a skim through the report. I haven't read it in any depth. It is certainly very, very concerning.
I'm just going to hold you for a moment there. Have you got some sort of automatic setting on your camera? Because it's zooming in and out all the time.
Yeah, I have. Hang on.
See if you can turn that off. That's good. Nice framing. Just see if you can turn that off. That seems
I'll
to be.
See if I can.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Still, that's okay. Just leave it there. Can you freeze it there?
All right, hang on. Yeah, I might be able to. Do
it's out again.
Here. No, it's doing strange things. Hang on. Yeah, that'll do it.
Okay, good on you.
That'll do it. Right.
Okay, David, you're a former judge. What do you make of what you've read of your? Yeah.
Very, very concerning because it demonstrates, I suppose the kindest thing to say would be mishandling at the highest level. I can't see that there's any evidence of a contrived conspiracy.
Really?
But the problem about it, the problem, Sean, is not so much what McSkimming did or didn't do, but the cover-up. And
yes.
As we all know from Watergate and all the rest of it, the problem is not so much the misbehaviour; it's the cover-up of the misbehaviour that creates the difficulties. And the thing is that there were a whole lot of people who were involved in that.
Well, the cover-up does look like a conspiracy to me, David.
Looks like, Sean, but doesn't necessarily mean that it is.
Well, it doesn't matter whether it is legally or not. I know what the court of public opinion is going to say and is saying right now.
Court of public opinion doesn't have the burden of proof or anything like that.
No.
So, yeah.
No, but
you're right. Perception is everything. Perception is everything, and that is a problem. And when it comes to things like public confidence, perception does matter. And it matters not only for the public perception and public trust and confidence in the police, It relates to public trust and confidence in the media, public trust and confidence in the government, public trust and confidence in the judiciary. That perception thing goes all the way through, and it is absolutely critical that people maintain high standards so that that perception of wrongdoing doesn't leak out or cannot be a conclusion.
It would seem to me our standards have dropped then. That we are in trouble. That the country is literally in some kind of moral or ethical crisis. Because the way this spreads and all the questions now being asked about all sorts of other cases, how people get jobs, high-paying jobs after they leave one job, the money that Mr. McSkimming got, $1.5 million, we understand, on his departure from the police. No doubt Mr. Costa is going to get a nice little disengagement package. I mean, I think average New Zealanders, David, are saying, how did we get to this? How did this happen in good old little New Zealand?
It's been a long time coming, Sean. This erosion of standards goes back quite a way. Perhaps even to certainly before Ardern. You can't blame Ardern for everything, although I know a lot of people would like to. But I think it goes back much before that as well. It's sort of what I call relativism about things, rather than having yes and no, black and white. There's a well, maybe, or it depends on whether the circumstances dictate the particular
And that's
outcome.
the spin that's coming out about Costa. Good man did a bad thing. But let's move on. And that's clearly being spun by a PR expert.
Oh, Audrey Young describes him as a good man. Good men do bad things.
And Heather Duplessis Allen picked it up on ZB. She's running the same line on ZB. So presumably someone in Auckland, some PR person, I know he's lawyered up Costa, and I'm really interested to find out if he's PR'd up as well.
Bound to be.
You know, but we look, David, and we were mentioning today the curious case of Kerry Allen and her drunk driving conviction, and how we never got a clear steer from the police as to what happened there. Hipkins was involved and knew about it. And I'd say if we were looking for other areas where there might have been a cover-up, that springs to mind immediately.
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely.
And then we look at a lawyer associated with the Labor government from Denton's, a woman called Linda Clark. And I was amazed to find out yesterday she had a police recruitment wing. She was patron of a police recruitment wing back in 2022. And it just seems all these interrated people, and I hate to say it, on the woke left of politics, seem to have been scratching each other's backs and involved in all sorts of issues for a long time.
Oh, upper level public service is a movable feast, Sean. Chief executives of the various branches of the public service just move from one branch to another. One year they're with one organisation, the next year they're with another. I guess part of it is that we're such a small society, and the talent pool. And I'm just wondering whether or not talent is the correct word. The talent pool is rather shallow.
Yeah. Let's get on to then the Harmful Digital Communications Act, which, with the connivance of other police officers, was used to try and silence Ms. Z, who was making the totally substantiated by court claims about Mr. McSkimmon and his sexual or his pornography proclivities. Yet they attempted to charge her and shut her down using the Harmful Digital Communications Act. Firstly, put the act aside. That's just one of the most terrible aspects of this whole affair, isn't it? That a victim is targeted by the police.
It is absolutely shocking. Going back to your opening remarks, Sean, I'm probably one of the few people who actually think that the act serves a useful purpose. But like so many things, nuclear power as an example, so many things, it can be misused. And it has been misused in this particular case. It's been misused in other cases.
Well,
But I think,
I'm finding it hard to find an example where it's been properly used for the purpose it was created.
well, okay. In my former life, there were many cases where I thought that its use was justified. Um, I can't talk about those cases, of course,
Obviously.
but there were cases where there had been communications that caused people extreme upset. But you've got to remember that there are two branches to the Harmful Digital Communications Act. The first branch relates to communications that breach communications principles that are set out in the Act and that cause people serious emotional distress or harm. That results in an opportunity to have the material taken down or removed, or for an apology to be given, or something of that nature. Yes, it can be used to silence critics, and it was used in the case of Chinese people. A lady by the name of Portia Mao was subject to that. Then there's the other side of it, which might be what you're facing, which is the criminal side.
No, this is a civil matter. It's being held.
Okay, yours is a civil matter, but the lady is facing, the lady in question, Miss Said, I think she's referred to in the IPCA report, is facing a Section 22 prosecution, which criminalises the intention to cause harm and the intentional posting of an electronic communication. So if I intend to cause somebody serious emotional distress and I post a communication with that intention, I'm potentially in scope for an offence against the Harmful Digital Communications Act. Now, that particular section has been used, and it has been used properly. In fact, one of the first cases about the Harmful Digital Communications Act involved a relationship which had gone bad, and some terrible communications that were put online with the intention of upsetting and causing distress to the other party. And the person was convicted. The matter went on appeal.
Yeah, and it may be fair to say, let's be totally unbiased in our coverage, that is, or was, Ms. Z's intention with some of the postings that she made about Gvon McSkimming, as they had a relationship which was ended, and the accusations that she was making, which were upheld, they were truth, may have had the intent of damaging him. And the unusual thing I think about this case is that the idea he was being considered for the top job in the police and he'd had an illicit affair in itself raised questions about his character. But that they used that act to silence her seems to me to be just morally repugnant, and there must be some way to reword that act or refocus its application to ensure it is not misused in the future.
Yes. Well, I can tell you that something is in train about that.
Oh.
And
what?
And there are proposals that I understand are with Parliamentary Counsel's office now that will ensure that the Act will be tightened up. Yeah. I can't say that it'll be perfect, but certainly this type of thing is unlikely to occur again.
Yeah. David, while I've got you there and you haven't got the meter running, and I'm going to get a continuance because I'm going to
start now, Sean.
Okay. So I've been served with a notice to appear in the Dunedin District Court. It would appear on documents that were filed or granted back in June or July. And it hasn't been served on me. It just says I've got to turn up for the civil matter, and it's got all this stuff connected with it. It really is most confusing. And I've never no one's ever approached me and said, I want to take this down. There's some associated stuff we think may not even be from the court, but it was served on me by a bailiff. And it says the police rejected his complaint and NetSafe declined to take any further action.
Yep.
So...
Okay. Well, the first thing that should happen is that I don't know anything about the case, but
No. Yeah.
I would expect that you should have received a copy of the application. You should have been given notice of exactly what is alleged to have been said or posted or whatever. You should be given an opportunity to respond to that and file a defence, together with any other information that may be relevant. And it would appear that
I haven't had any of those things.
Well, I would hope that your legal people would be asking those questions.
Yeah, well, I would hope that I lived in a society where I didn't have to spend thousands on lawyers and deal with this bullshit, as most New Zealanders should, David. And that's when I come back to the issue of this police thing. Something's gone wrong with our society. You know?
Yes. Yeah, we've lost the moral compass.
Yeah.
If you like.
Yeah. How do you think, I asked this question of Bryce Edwards, how do the police rebuild faith and integrity? Do you go through and get rid of anyone, all the bad apples? How do we believe in, and it's kind of like, I feel like people maybe felt in America after Watergate. I feel shaken to my core about New Zealand. Yeah.
Rebuilding trust and confidence is a long process, and it's kind of like the shampoo ad. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen if the correct steps are taken. I think I have confidence in Richard Chambers, the Commissioner of Police.
Yeah,
I think he's doing everything that he possibly can, and he has been handed a real nasty with this. I mean, imagine coming in as a new commissioner and then having to deal with this one. But I think if they put the proper processes in place and adopt a completely transparent attitude from top to bottom, and publicize it properly, then I think that the rebuilding will take place. But I think transparency in every area where public trust and confidence is important is necessary. I mean, for example, the public broadcasting business was a classic example of an absolute lack of transparency, which is one of the contributing factors to decline in trust in mainstream media.
And therefore institutions and indeed democracy. What about, and I'm going to ask you this as a former judge, and many people are asking questions about this. We look at the alleged disgraceful behaviour of a judge at the Northern Club recently. We look at decisions brought down by judges. Surely faith in the judges and the bench and the judiciary is also at an all-time low.
No, I wouldn't agree with that. You might say, well, of course, I would expect to hear that. There is a 60% level of satisfaction with the operation of the courts and the judiciary. Now, that's not a bad indicator when you consider the decline in trust and confidence.
Better than the 27% for the mainstream news media, David. Yeah, double, in fact.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be some question, but you see, the thing is with the courts, they don't have the power of the purse. They haven't got unlimited amounts of money. They're dependent upon the government for funding. They don't have the power of the sword, so they can't sort of go out and start enforcing their own decisions. All they've got is their own the confidence of the public for their legitimacy, and that means that day by day they have got to perform, and that's one of the important things about open justice and about the role that the news media plays in reporting cases. And I know that there is a lot of concern about the number of times that suppression orders seem to be made for well-known New Zealanders. The well-known New Zealander is a frequent appearer, it seems, in the district court these days.
Yeah, that's
right. That's a concern.
And of course, used in the McSkimming case. And I've got to say, Jared Savage, hats off to him as a journalist. He was dogged enough. And, that is one thing certain members of our mainstream media do have the resource to do, and that is to keep challenging suppression orders so we can shine some sunlight on all of this. Thank you for the free consultation, David.
Anytime, Sean.
Good to have a bush lawyer of your experience on the case.
A bush lawyer.
Do you think we can? Well, do you think we can get this back? Do you think this country can recover to a level of integrity that we imagined we used to have?
Yes, but it's going to take a while, and it's going to take a lot of getting rid of the relativism that we have to face. And it starts, I think, in the political area, and I think it sort of filters down. But what would be nice for there to be some kind of common cause on the part of all New Zealanders, and I refer to New Zealanders, not necessarily Māori or Pakeha or anything like that. But
everyone.
We are all New Zealanders. And the minute we develop some kind of a unity of purpose, we might be starting to head in the right direction.
I thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, Sean. Thank you. Have a good night.
Retired Judge David Harvey, interesting, saying that he thought, perhaps the Harmful Digital Communications Act could stop police, and has. Okay, I'll take that.